Uh-huh.
And I was eating cold cereal, so I just slurped. I just kept, the cringy. So I did that for like 3 minutes, and at the end I said, "Ears is tasty," which is a Saturday Night Live skit thing with Mike Tyson biting the ear of Vander Holyfield. They made a cereal that said,
I didn't see that.
"Ears is tasty." So they made this thing. Meant nothing, anything. I just thought of it. And I go, "Oh my gosh, you guys got to see this video." And I brought them over, and they muscled all the way through because they thought it was going to be something at the very end. And then I said, "Ears is tasty." And I go, "Did you guys see that?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Ears is tasty." And they're like, and I know everything is, "You freaking duped us, man." We sat and watched that for 3 minutes. It was just literally no words, just me eating. And I was like, victory. And that's what's funny about being a dad. That's why Lee, he's super serious neighbor. And I'm like, "No, I'll be watching TV." He's like, "I'm trying to do physical touch with the kids, and just like give them love, back rub, whatever. Like, hey, good job, high five." And I'm like, if we're watching a movie, I'll sneak my foot down. Or if we're eating, Jasper sits there, I'll sneak over and do this on his foot, and then he's like, he'll pull away, and I'll just
Notice
smile
I
at him.
didn't pull away. I'm like, "Oh, that's nice."
On the couch. I won't do anything inappropriate most of the time, no. And in other words, it's a way of me kind of funnily doing it. But Lee's like, "Oh man, I never thought about that. I'm just trying to I'm like, if you do it, we're not relevant. We're not cool." Right. So we got to play that role. But anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, so we were doing season 1, episode 1, I guess you'd call it, right? Mm-hmm. And part 1 of that first episode, when a neighbor came over, Bonnie, and needed help with their garage door. So we had to pause, but now we're back on.
And I'm eating.
Of course, it's Derek's lunchtime, so
we're backstage.
Yeah. Oh, this is behind the scenes. Yeah.
This is extra content, extra footage.
This is. Yeah.
So,
if you want to see more of the behind the scenes content,
he'll catch on.
Subscribe and.
Yeah, because this is gold right here.
Oh, this is Derek chowing down on rice and what is that? What's in there? Steak? Rice and steak?
I mixed Chinese food and Italian food, meatballs and fried rice that we have.
I don't even think that's legal. So, anyway.
like a mattress tag you can't tear. You're not allowed to do that. That'd be ironic.
Pretty much.
So, what do you want to talk about? You started filming for a reason, and I'm the one eating. So, what do you think?
Yeah. So. I don't know. No, so it was good that we were able to help out your neighbor whose garage door spring had broken and her garage door wasn't opening, and she was going to be late for an appointment, a doctor's appointment, and we were able to help her out. So hey, that's what this is about, right? It's about serving God and serving others. And we got a chance to have a break in the action so we can go serve someone else.
So let's talk about what you overcame, what you're overcoming to do this, to film this. Like, what are some, like, I know we kind of talked in there a little bit, but like even today, because you tend to be a procrastinator, your words, not mine, but this is a big deal. Like, you're the one that was proactive to come over today to my place because I have to be here. I have been waiting for a delivery. So maybe talk about that a little bit. Maybe, for somebody who procrastinates, I mean, this is kind of a big deal. We've never done this together. This is all new.
Yeah.
And it's really big for us.
Yeah, it's something that, for whatever reason, it's just been a pattern throughout my life. I'm 58, and for as long as I can remember, not just in my adult life, but even growing up, I would have, let's say, a project, a term paper or something like that I know I had 3 weeks to do. And for whatever reason, I feel like I would be at my best under pressure. So I spend the first week and 4 days not doing anything. And then, when I'm coming down to the wire, all of a sudden I'm putting things together and getting a 98 on my term paper.
Right.
It's not something I like, because I don't want to constantly feel that pressure of things coming down to the deadline and me having to, cram everything in, because it's not comfortable. It's not enjoyable. Plus, I think I would do even better if I managed my time better. But that's a challenge for me and something that I certainly need to work on. And, you know, we talked about it in the first video. I've also had a challenge with alcohol because I was a non-drinker after my 30th birthday, but I was working for a state agency that enforced liquor laws. And I would go undercover in bars and clubs and not drink because I was a non-drinker. And I remember people saying to me,
lighting's bad, can't see you. Let's move over.
Okay.
We're gonna move, folks. Let's just move over here with David. Let's get David in frame here, and we'll. All right, this is better lighting. Sorry about that. All right, I'm sorry I had to eat something. So sorry.
Shouldn't.
Let's make sure we get him just out of frame, and then that'll be perfect. We'll put Rue and me. We'll have Rue and me having a conversation. So you were saying you've overcome.
Yeah. So
alcoholism has been something you've struggled with. You said.
Yeah. Just working for a state agency where we would, you know, go undercover in bars and clubs, and I would think, okay, I'll be able to go in there and blend in a bar situation, drinking, you know, a Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, something like that, and finding out pretty quickly that people notice that, and yeah, like not everybody who goes into a bar is drinking alcohol, but if I'm going to go in there for any significant length of time, it does look out of place that I'm not drinking alcohol. So I started drinking alcohol when I was working. Obviously, we have to keep it moderate.
Yeah.
But the honest answer to the question when people would ask me if I drank was only when I'm working, which is
That's
weird.
pretty
Ironic.
interesting. Yeah.
But then after a while, I started drinking off duty at home, and then it became more and more to the point where I noticed it was starting to be a problem. Like in the COVID year, 2020, I remember talking with you and maybe talking with some other people. Like, if you were to look at a calendar that was a leap year, so 366 days that year, and if you were to look at a 1-year calendar and put a red X on every one of the 366 days where I had alcohol, the number of dates on there that didn't have a red X would have been shockingly few. I might have had alcohol in some form or another 350 out of 366 days that year. Wow. You know? So I'm not drinking to get drunk, I'm not passing out, I'm not, you know, going out and driving, you know, under the influence and getting in accidents and hurting people. But that's still not healthy. Yeah. It's expensive, it's not good for my liver and whatever other parts of my body that are affected by the alcohol, my heart, whatever. But it's something that I am aware of and have improved on, but it's still like last night. You know, I drink Fireball whiskey and cherry Pepsi. I invented it, I think, and parents.
You have better play. Oh.
Yeah.
So, you may share a little about what you know of your story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And we just keep jumping off of screen out of focus. So with David, alcohol was not the reason he stopped doing law enforcement. He moved into fraud investigation. There's various reasons. I'm not going to speak for his story, but
Okay.
I'll just say that
Is it just a small?
his character's intact, and
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm just
Right, love
thankful to know him as a friend in terms of the way he lives his life, what he has to offer to the relationships in his life. Certainly, I could speak for hours. So, anyway, you're back now. I just was sharing that you.
Whatever he said, don't believe it. That whatever he said was probably a lie.
Alcohol is not the reason you stopped law enforcement. Just for clarification.
No.
So we're not talking about fell off the wagon thing.
Right. Yes.
This isn't an LT story or a
So I
Johnny Manziel.
I left law enforcement in good standing, and it was to try and save the marriage with the mother of my two girls. It was on the brink of disaster. Ultimately, we ended up getting divorced. But the good news is we're good friends to this day. We get along fine, and our girls are 34 and 30, and you know, I'm happy with things turning out as well as they could have turned out considering the circumstances. I never wanted to get divorced. It wasn't certainly something that I ever thought was going to happen. I mean, I married the daughter of a Christian church youth pastor. I thought we were going to be married, forever. But, as unfortunate as it was, the family breaking apart, things are as good as they can be now. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's kind of a downer, huh?
Well,
but it's life.
He came over with a video of a comedian on stage. I don't think it was during a set, but could have been an open mic. I'm assuming it was a comedy club, talking about how his 2-year-old daughter died of cancer back in the 90s while he was also getting his big break. And the guy was emoting. He was definitely, and that makes sense. Why?
Yeah,
being a doting dad, but
a powerful video.
Yeah, and I was like, really? We're both tearing up. I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
So I almost asked him to leave, but I thought he has the camera. We might as well.
Trust me, I wanted to leave. So
yeah, it's kind of over at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, not that we're gonna talk about go into my story, but I tend to be self-reflective and all those things, but I like to kind of kick around topics that are current and relevant, but kind of at it from a different angle. So I'm curious how you think the Christian man is doing right now, kind of leading into your background, and then your maturation process, growth, and all that good stuff in Christ. I mean, we're a member of a group. He had referenced ISI, Iron Sharpens Iron. It's here in Arizona. It's the Arizona chapter of Iron Sharpens Iron, and you can check it out online. ISI Peoria. If you want to check them out, give them a little plug. How do you think, and this is not to say all men everywhere, but this is to say kind of as a sample size using ISI, it has it's about almost 2,000 men. Last I checked, I know the founder, Ted Rifkin, we both do. And I just wondered, kind of watching the ebb and flow of that ministry, certainly grown. It's not affiliated officially with the church. It is a Christian, non-denominational nonprofit. The founder's phenomenal. Great guy, servant heart. Not a guy in front of the camera at all. Got a council of people that are great, and it's just accountability based, real life, all different ages from. I mean, maybe the youngest one that's there is maybe like 7 or 8, all the way up to, retirement age.
It's great. There's a lot of men who bring their children there, their young sons, and then of course there's men there who are in their 80s and maybe even 90s. I don't know.
How do you think the quality of the relationships is there? It's growing, but oftentimes we measure that by size, by numbers. We don't measure that by depth.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to quantify. But I just wondered, from your standpoint, how do you think that's going? And again, I'm not trying to make this all about ISI and what they're doing right or wrong. It's more like, for us, that's a commonality and a community we're part of.
So I think it's great for guys to be able to fellowship together and to share life experiences with one another and to learn from each other. But we're all sinners. I mean, obviously. And there are guys who are in the group who are running companies, who are, medical doctors, lawyers, and there are guys in the group who are struggling with addiction and just got out of prison or, whatever it might be. And we can learn from anybody there. I see this thing that gets posted on social media every now and then. It says, never take advice from a person you wouldn't trade places with. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, boy, that's so short-sighted. Because I learn from people all the time that I wouldn't trade places with. I was working an off-duty job, and I think I told you this story, where I was doing a road construction off-duty job. in my police uniform. There's guys working on, whatever underground, drainage system or whatever it might be. And so they're in one spot all day. And every now and then they need me to come out of the shade that I'm hiding in and shut down a lane so they can do whatever. But I spent most of the day talking with some homeless guy who happened to be there, and I went in the Circle K and I bought him some Gatorade, got him some food, and we just talked all day. Yeah. I'm getting paid and he's just there, because of his circumstances. And I learned so much from that guy that day about life, about taking chances, about the personal decisions he made that got him to that point. I learned a lot about life that day. I don't want to trade places with that guy, but he taught me a lot because I was open and willing to learn. And this group that we've got,
ISI.
Yeah, ISI. That there are people there who are very accomplished people. They've achieved a lot of success in life, but I don't just learn from them. I learn from the guys who are struggling with addiction, the guys who serve time, the guy whatever their story is. And it's great that we can share with each other, but by no means does it mean that we're better than any other guys out there, right? Because what we've learned is that guys who are isolated and making decisions about what they're going to do, not do, say, not say, when they're isolated and alone is dangerous. They're going to serve themselves and make poor choices often. And the best thing that guys can do who are in that situation where they're isolated is get yourself around men who are going to hold you accountable, who are going to be there to help you through these difficult times in life, because we all face them. And the best thing you can have when you're facing a difficult situation is somebody, one or two or more, but at least one person who says, you know what, I'm here, call me, let's talk this out. Or if you just want me just to sit there and be with you to keep you from going to the store and buying more alcohol and drinking home alone or whatever it is, that's really what the group is about, is guys who hold each other accountable and help each other get through life. Would you agree?
No, for sure. I just don't think that. I think a lot of men either don't know how to do that. That's the what. And there's going to be a theme here. I'm a big how guy. I'm a big why guy. Why do it? Which we both know why you would do that. But how to do that is where I live a lot. So there's a lot of men who, and this has been said, I don't know the percentages. I'm going to butcher this, but basically most men don't have two good relationships in their life. Or it's even been said, if you have one good friend, count yourself lucky. I've heard different isms, but so I think what I'm saying is that a lot of men don't know how to do that because they don't feel like, one, they're struggling with self-esteem, the value issue. Kind of similar to doing this, like you get to that point, you just can't make the phone call. It may even be suicide, God forbid. You just can't make that phone call, whoever that guy might be. So I think it's going to be interesting for us to touch on that. And this is, I don't want this to be, this is not medical advice. This is not diagnosing anything. Dare I say, these are some how-to things you can do, strategies, methods, tools for guys. Because my target audience is men. I blame most of our problems in society on men. Not this is going to turn into a blame game, but I really think men need to step up. I need to step up, speaking for myself. So my thing is how can we as a population of men, which is kind of just the whole question I just started with, how can we step up and basically be who God called us to be? As leaders, what that is, spiritual leaders of our families, and all these things that we kind of already know, especially if you're in a Christian world. I'm trying to stay away from the Christianese talk, but I'll say that biblically, and I think even in non-Christian society where men are expected to be strong leaders, trailblazers, gap fillers, and supporters, but then we kind of, we incentivize leaving your wife, and there's lots of subcultures. You know, we've seen it, like I say, the rap, and you know, a lot of famous men, they can kind of do what they want. The guy who, anyway, I forget his name, but him and his brother both did that. He's from Canada, but I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, the point is, it is celebrated when men don't do that. So it's really confusing because we're hearing both messages. And my thing is not what we can do, but again, how. So how does a man stay with his wife? Why does he stay with his wife? And there's a lot of complexities there. It's not to say that women don't make mistakes. I'm just talking about us as men. What can we do? There's a lot of low-hanging fruit in my life, with my wife. And so I guess that's kind of the nature of why I was asking that. There's a lot of things that I've gone through a lot of counseling since before I was married. Willingly, happy to do it. A lot of talk counseling. I've done neurofeedback. I've done EMDR. I've not been hypnotized, but I've spent my fair share of therapy. And I am to a point where I realize a lot of men, young men especially, because they just haven't lived life long, not to judge them, don't know some of the basic methods, tools, and strategies. I didn't know either. I wasn't taught. I mean, my dad, he taught me what he could, but we don't know. So in our conversations, I want to flesh out, like, what are some things that might be over obvious to us? Certainly biblically, there's things, we could listen to Wes Huff, and he's going to bring up some amazing theological things, historical things. Listen to Joe Rogan, you're going to hear. But I just think that there are some really, really basic things. Like one, I'll give one. Do you want to be right, or do you want to get it right? So I spent a lot of my life, I'm 45, as I mentioned before, I spent a lot of my life into my 30s wanting to be right. Granted, you know, seasonally in life, we have to prove ourselves. A lot of times we fake it till we make it, and then oftentimes we fake it all the way through in some ways, because we don't always know everything, right? Or we don't ever know everything. So, I guess what I'm saying is that I reached a point of brokenness, where I just wanted to get it right. And I was okay being wrong. I started to be able to self-deprecate, which was huge for me. You could do the same thing. And I learned that there's strength, not just maturity in that. I don't like that word because it almost sounds a little lofty. Maturity, it's a good word, but there's strength in that. It's good. It's helpful.
To recognize your own limitations and failures.
And using failure as a tool.
Right.
And I can get into what I want to do as a mindset coach with men to offer some things. But I'll just say that was kind of where I was getting at with that, without getting all over the place. Was I'm just kind of wondering topically the state of men. And I'm using Christian men because, well, that's a lot of who I'm around right now, I guess. I mean, I'm around all different types of men, but it happens to be in the Northwest Valley of Peoria. We've got a really, really big church called Christ Church of the Valley. And it's got a really good influence on the valley. And so there's just a lot of men. If you're in a store here all over the Northwest, that's Phoenix, Northwest Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria, all these feeding towns of Metro. I mean, you see the stickers everywhere, and it's not uncommon to hear men talking about it. You're going to see the ISI shirts. You're going to see, and CCV has like, I think 16 or 17 campuses around the valley now.
Yeah, something like that.
The point in that is we kind of live in kind of a bubble, even as a big city, in many ways. There's a lot of bad things happening everywhere, but we definitely live in a bedroom community that is a bubble. And so for me, that's good, but it's so imperfect still, because it's the world. I'm always trying to chip away at how can I get better, and then as a result, I realize I've attained a lot, which is kind of an impetus to us doing this, to share the things that we've learned. And I think we're going to have to get better at it, so we're not boring, get creative, move around, figure out what sets are good for presentation. But I think that the core of this if somebody's still watching, and if you're still watching, thank you, is figuring out how to make things bite-sized so that we can start doing them now. Because we can talk about, goals are interesting that way, objectives are 3 years down the road, or even 6 months. For sometimes I gotta get through the day. Like I gotta have a goal for the day. I didn't have a goal. Did I? This morning I did have a goal. I haven't had a goal in a while for the day because I just haven't known how to.
But
So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, something that you touched on. We were talking about getting it right. And for a long time, when my girls were young, I used to tell them, I want you to be happy. That's all I want. I want you to be happy. And then I realized the flaw in that thinking is there's a lot of people, and I'm not just talking guys, but this is primarily directed towards our target audience of men. But there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I want to be happy, and they make selfish, bad decisions in their lives because it brings them happiness, temporary happiness.
Right.
But they're doing something that's going to bring them happiness in the moment, regardless of the negative effects on a spouse, on the children,
Sure.
on co-workers, whatever it might be.
It's selfish.
Yeah, and that's when I realized, because I had made some of those decisions, and ultimately my family ended up breaking apart.
Yeah.
And then I started telling my girls,